Doki Doki Maki Gator. or rather, we are back with Pokemon Horizons, and we pick up right where we left off, chit-chatting with Ryford and the others. Before we can hop back on the cruise though, the Brave Asagi has some flexing to do. Their ride comes in style. They are basically hopping on an aerial limo. Our reunion with the Rising Bolt Tacklers is brief, but sincere. Not very emotional at all, kinda like picking up your kids from summer camp. It's honestly a little bittersweet to me because the last arc was so peak, it's kind of hard to imagine how they're gonna top it. But the new opening gives us some spoiler-tastic ideas. This whole theme just has the essence of adventure. It's also a classic anime opening in terms of cadence. Struggling, hardships, overcoming aforementioned hardships. It is a lively pop song, if not a bit generic. Like a good song, but one I think you could slap over plenty of anime openings and it'd probably fit. But there's a tenderness to the voice that's appealing, and the visuals spell out succinctly what this arc's all about, including, but not limited to, a teased fight with Gibeon? That seems so soon, it almost makes me wonder how far Horizon's plot will stretch. This maybe won't go down as my favorite opening, but most importantly, it is a welcomed addition to my unfathomable collection of Pokemon music. So back on the ship, it seems like Liko's waking up refreshed and ready to take on a new season. We get this sense of familiarity, almost like coming home as Roy's song rips through the air. That spirit of adventure continues too as we gaze out into the clouds and see not Ash's Dragonite flying by, but the goofy guy still does elicit that feeling of wonder. Eventually they take a little tour of the ship and it seems like it's had some upgrades, one of which being a very tempting button that Roy's gotta resist. A self-destruct button? Or maybe a muffin button? As we catch up with everyone, it really feels like we're cruising back to the main plot, including this wholesome Murdoch moment just to see his domestic excitement at the renovated kitchen. I mean, the Asagi has really had some off-screen character development. We even have some brand new edible friends, or just regular friends, as the Tatsugiri make Crocalor aware. After taking some downtime, a wild Freed appears and returns Liko's items he kinda stole/borrowed, and suddenly we're met with a glow. Now, rev up those fryers cause the current heroes are ready to cook. I really do get a kick too out of seeing Terapagos just casually chatting with these titans, but bro really is on the team. Freed observes and ascertains that the heroes are ready to brawl. I can definitely see why they would need to stretch those legendary limbs, but I'm still surprised to have a battle so soon. Alas, the trio divides and conquers. Looks like the matches are decided by type. A coincidence I honestly never really noticed, but maybe they can spar like this regularly. That is, if Croco can shake the nerves. Really does reinforce what beasts Lucius Pokemon are though. It is so hard to picture the kids doing this well last time they were on the ship, and it makes me curious just how accurate of a portrayal this is to Lucius's team. Would Dot be breakdancing circles around Monkey D. Lapras if Lucius was ordering them? I suppose time will tell, but if this episode is a glimpse into the arc, it seems like we have the kids behind the steering wheel now, as dangerous as that might sound. About as dangerous as the practical bombs they're setting off. But the heroes survive this terrestrial assault, and referee Terapagos calls it a day. I'd say it does look like the heroes got their fill, and I dare say even impressed. So as our heroes set their sights on Lakua and the remaining three, I'll happily take some battles with a little plot as a treat. Not to mention resuming the Nidothing stream really gives that Horizons flavor. One of the very stark and modern differences from the Ashname. It's nice to see how peppy Dot is too. I feel this newfound confidence and I'm excited to see where it carries her. In fact, it's carried her all the way to Zerk and Konia's screens. Oh yeah, they're fans, and definitely the Explorer's comic relief. That is, until they run into Amethio, who shifts the tone a bit. Konia and Zerk seem pretty incredulous to see Amethio go off the grid, especially alone, so they insist on backing him up. It seems like Amethio appreciates that too. Perhaps he learned a bit about the power of friendshipping from Liko. Then, our last stop is in the wild, spotting Perrin with her eyes on Cleavor. Now, the ending, I'd say continues that spunky trend from the last. There's even something about it that feels climactic as we revisit the beginning. I also really appreciate how Horizons doesn't treat its endings as an afterthought. Each one has been a banger, and even if I deserve to be shoved into a locker, I definitely do this little strut into a rave. Overall, feels good to be back, and we are back with a bang. I always thought it interesting how Ash's relationship with legendaries was spotty, but here, they're handing them out like Halloween candy, even if Liko does have to return them eventually, which may be a lot sooner than I anticipated. We could reach the climax of Terapagos this very arc, and I wonder too what role the Volt Tacklers outside of Freed will play in this. Really, all they need is Orla to get there, and maybe Murdoch to, you know, eat and live. But then what? To a new region? To new protagonists? Well, that is still a ways away. But today's episode, I would give a B.